Now, Republican Congressman from Illinois, Adam Kinzinger. Sir, good to have you here back on the show, as always. So you heard about a unity agenda, and there was a lot of focus. We'll get into Ukraine in a moment. But for Americans, talking about gas prices, talking about inflation, what did you hear last night, and how hopeful did you walk out of it? This is just a speech, but did you have reason for hope in this last night?
Well, look, I mean, I've been doing this now 12 years. This would be, what, my, I guess, 12th State of the Union. And, but I look at it and say, sure, I mean, I think it's important for the president to have recognized what people are feeling out there, to have put voice to the fact that inflation is a real concern, a real fear. And, of course, with what we're seeing both in the lead up to this and with, the current instability overseas, gas prices is a huge problem. I'm not sure. Look, he's not going to convince any Republicans. He probably, some of the folks kind of in the middle shook their head and said, yeah, I think he did what he needed to do. And I think, whether the prescription is what people agree with or not, you recognize the problem. And as a leader, I think that's kind of the first step.
The GOP response from Iowa Governor Reynolds, she essentially said the president and Democrats taking us back to the 70s and 80s with the inflation, with violent crime, and it's all Democrats and Biden's fault. You don't subscribe to that, I assume, or how much of the blame, or how much do you agree essentially with that statement that she made?
Look, this is a time where Americans need to come together and recognize, yeah, you're not going to agree with everything the president says. That doesn't mean he's intentionally destroying America. It also doesn't mean anybody in politics is intentionally destroying America. So I thought, all in all, probably, I think the governor in the response did a good job. I don't agree with everything she said either. I want to get to a point, maybe I'm being too overly optimistic or naive, where we can all just, have our little partisan hits sometimes, but I actually want to solve problems for America, because I think Americans are sick of the left-right constant back and forth and not solving anything.
You have to say, TJ and I are sitting here nodding our heads, because it is optimistic to hear you talk about unity and talk about reaching across the aisle and not necessarily just siding with a party. So it's refreshing to hear you talk. I wanted to speak a little bit to Ukraine and what President Biden said last night, specifically about restricting that airspace, joining the EU, joining Canada. What is that going to do in this fight, in your opinion?
This is huge. I mean, look, I think we're gonna hear the story of how all this happened behind the scenes. The fact that Europe has kind of stepped up and taken the lead, I think the United States will have pushed that and kind of caused that to happen. I don't think you could have had a better outcome when Germany, who was hesitant to take on Russia, is basically all in. When you have Sweden all in, and of course closing the airspace prevents, whether it's air travel from commercial, whether it's the oligarchs traveling, they with their almost billion-dollar yachts. This is putting a lot of pressure on Vladimir Putin. Of course, sadly, it's going to put pressure on the Russian people, but that's unfortunately necessary, because the Russian war machine, which seems to be far more inept than we initially thought, but still, a lot of people they can throw out this problem are just being butchers in Ukraine and taking a country for the sole purpose of just wanting to expand your land.
Well, Congressman, before we let you go, the last time you were here with Robach and I, we had to wrap up quickly because any moment your wife could be going into labor. And now you're back here, and the little one, I guess, is about a month old. Do I have it right? Christian is the name. I just want to say congratulations there, my man.
Thank you. It's great. It's a whole new chapter, and I love it so far.
Well, that's the first time we got a real smile out of you the whole interview, man. So we should have started with that. But no, Congressman, always good to have you. Always good to you answer our call. So we appreciate you, and congrats again.
Y'all too. Thank you. Have a good one.